And with that being said, thank you for tuning in to another episode of A Business Minute.
Yes.
I'm your host, Sirr, and today I'm joined with special guest, the poetess herself.
Oh my gosh.
Buttasofli.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure's mine. Been looking for you for a year.
I'm so excited.
To those of you who don't know, if you go back about a year, when I first interviewed K. Marie, my co-host, she told a passionate story about a young lady at a photo session and how she evolved before the camera, shedding all the negativity and just developed into something beautiful. This is that young lady that K. Marie was talking about.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been looking forward to this for a while. Yeah, on the levels of like written on my walls. Like I have a page of people I want to interview, and you was on there.
Really?
I just had you written as Buttasofli. I kept forgetting your name was Cara
Yeah.
until I saw you on Facebook, and I was like, that's it. So.
Wow.
And I don't know when I added you as a friend.
I don't know. I don't know. Because I know we have so many mutual friends together. Because with Raina and K. Marie, and I think we just, somewhere in there, happened. It's crazy how everything came full circle, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on time.
Yeah.
Right on time. So, with that being said, if you don't mind, just to our listeners who don't know, can you tell them what you do?
Yes. Like he said, I am Cara naturally, also known as Buttasofli. I'm a spoken word artist from Mobile. So pretty much that means I tell all of my business. Anybody who wants to hear it, has an open mind, it's a little messy, pull up a chair, I would tell you all my business. So that's pretty much what I do in Mobile.
All right. And how long have you been doing poetry?
I've been doing poetry a little over 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, a little over 10 years. I started with the group Africatown Poets. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with Huggy Bear the Poet.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then. He's only with the godfather of poetry in Mobile.
Right.
So I started with him and K-Star. She was the co-founder of that team. So I was with them for a few years. I also was a part of a duo, Aquemini Poets.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shout out to Outcast.
That's where we got it from. I was the Aquarius. Funny story, the Gemini is my ex-husband.
Oh.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So, no longer a part of that.
Okay.
Awkward. So, now I'm a part of Powerlines Poetry. I've been with them. Yes, I've been with them for 7 years. So of course, Black people can't do anything without a shout out. So I want to give a shout out to Catharsis the Poet, Eternity Everlasting, Ray Dub, Raina. Mm-hmm. Who else? So many of us. I'm just being honest. Hayes, Mocha, all of us. We've been there for 7 years. So that's where I'm now with the cool kids. So I've been doing this for a while.
Lunch table in the front.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roz too. Roz I interviewed as well on the podcast. Yeah.
She never told me this. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, interviewed Roz as well.
She sucks. She should have told me.
Man, one of my top 3 interviews, honestly.
Yeah.
Doing poetry for 10 years?
Yes.
That's a long time.
Very.
I think I started doing poetry. I've never done reciting my poetry.
Right.
I'm from A&M. I went to Alabama A&M.
Okay.
And I joined the poetry club there. Mm-hmm. And that's where I found my love for poetry. I've done my pieces there, but never here. Mm-hmm. So I came here and I found out about Black on Black Rhyme and Powerlines, and I got to see a lot of you guys perform.
Right.
And man, y'all blow my mind. Every time I be in. So I'd be glad to see y'all at any open mic event I go to.
Yeah.
But I brought that up to ask, what inspired you to start doing poetry? When did it bite you?
Well, I've always done poetry, but not spoken word. Because it's 2 different things. I would write.
Very much so.
Yeah, because I would write in my book, put it under my bed. So the person I was with at the time was a spoken word artist. So I was mostly like a cheerleader. I was support system. I would go to all the shows. And then all of a sudden, Huggy said, hey, we got this group forming, Africatown. I want you to be a part of it. This is what I need you to do. So I was like, okay. All right, I'll try it. Right. So I started to write and recite, and with them, they pretty much taught me what it was to be a spoken word artist. So it's not just reading; you have to perform and the diction and your stage presence. So they were able to critique me and get me to the place where I was comfortable with being a spoken word artist. So that was the inspiration, where they actually pushed me out when I really didn't want to be in the front. They pushed me to actually be that artist, and they saw something in me first before I saw it.
Right.
So that's pretty much what my inspiration was. And then also being able to get on stage and to be like fully naked and bare, and you can see people with tears in their eyes because they're connecting with you. You know, that was an inspiration in itself, where it was like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So that's what it felt like.
All right. So, and that's always big, to take something so personal,
right,
and share it with the world, like you said, because you're basically naked. You're most of these people could be strangers.
Yeah.
But to look out there, and at the end of a piece that could be maybe 3 to 4 minutes, you already got them.
Yeah.
You know, that's big. That's big. That's
that
why I love
energy,
art.
you can feel
Right.
it.
It's palpable. It's in the air.
Definitely.
All right. So I want to ask, were there any obstacles that you encountered along the way of becoming a better poet, you know, refining your craft,
right,
as you did with the Africatown poets, you know?
Yeah, there were definitely obstacles. The main obstacle I had was myself. I was the main obstacle.
Could you elaborate on that?
But yeah, a lot of times when, and I had to get myself out of this mindset of I'm not as good as so and so. You know what I mean? So I'm not as good as this person. Who would want to listen to me for 3 or 4 minutes? Just, you don't know me from a can of paint. Why would you want to listen to me? You know? So you have this enemy in your head telling you that you're not doing what you're supposed to do, or you're not that cool or that dope to actually be on stage with all of these other people. So I had to get out of that mindset of just being like, shut up and just do it. You already know what you want to do. You know what you want to say. Open your mouth and say it, and you'll feel so much better. So I had to actually get out of that situation. So I was like the main obstacle. And then also it was this elephant in the room that nobody speaks about in the poetry world in Mobile. Back in the day, Mobile, with poetry in Mobile, it was really, really close knit. 20 to 30 poets deep. Every week we would meet up. Everybody's doing poetry together, laughing, joking, singing, you know, creating and things like that. And then one day things just changed. And not necessarily in a bad way. You know, people start to progress and they grow and they move on, do other things. But then sometimes with misunderstandings, poetry beefs, like the most unsexy thing in the world. You have two poets hating each other, and now you're doing poetry about each other, things like that. Man. So the great thing about it is, now that everybody's gone, became grown, wiser, able to hash things out and talk, it's becoming beautiful again. Right. So now that obstacle now is getting past the bull, and now we back to creating, because there's so many other poets and troops in Mobile now that are just beautiful now. So of course you have Powerlines, and but now you have Black on Black Rhyme is in Mobile, Step to the Mic, things like that. So that was one of the obstacles that we had to get past so we can actually flourish in Mobile. Right. Yeah. And I'll keep talking. Also, the clubs, when it comes to actually having poetry there, they want the craft, but they feel like they don't have to pay for it. It's like, because you're not sometimes when you're a spoken word artist, they don't see you as an artist. They see you as, okay, I'm going to say this Easter speech. I'm going to stand right here and I'm just going to read this right quick and I'm going to sit down. No, it's an actual art. We put all of ourselves in it. And sometimes people, you know, feel like they can take advantage of that. So we have to make sure, because we're already an artsy and I'm a creative person, you have to look at the business side of it too. So yes, I want to, you know, tell my message to the world, but I also want to be compensated for what I do, because I'm good at what I do, and I would never give you junk. Then don't give me junk. So that was a couple of the obstacles that we did have.
That's major.
Yeah.
Going back to your first point about the division, I definitely did come across that. Yeah. In all aspects, even different forms of art. Excuse me. As far as paintings and drawings, I noticed that some people would deface other people's artwork, even downtown.
Right.
Before, I can't think of the gentleman, but who started doing the murals everywhere.
D'Anthony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't get that. It's okay to admire someone.
Right.
You know, it's perfectly okay to give props to someone. If you feel that you're better than them, then that should inspire you to work harder.
Exactly.
Let it show through your work. Don't take that energy and turn it into negativity, bashing someone else. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
it's
make
that crab
sense.
in a barrel mentality.
Right, and there's just so much room at the table for everybody to eat.
Right.
So like if we just thought about all these dope artists coming together and actually making really good work and bringing it together, we could be New Orleans, we could be Atlanta, you know, we could be California if you just stop being so dumb and actually work together.
Right.
But you know, you're so focused on you, you're missing the whole picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could actually progress even further if you would actually work together.
Right.
So hopefully we'll get it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I feel like we're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
Because whenever I go to, like for instance, I went to the Almanac and Gulfport. That's where I seen Huggy Bear recently.
Yeah.
And Black on Black Rhyme was there. A few other Mississippi poets were there, but it was all love. Like as soon as you walk in, and it was a Black-owned business. So
it's
that
beautiful.
was dope. Oh, you been?
I've been there. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years back. I was in Almanac, but it's gorgeous.
I love it.
The whole energy and the scene.
As soon as you walk in.
Oh, it's nice.
The vibe is.
It changes the whole tone. You know, it makes you want to be there. So
right. It put me in the mind of like, because I used to say I would love to go to like a little cool little jazz club type of vibe. And as soon as I walked in, I got that vibe.
That's the joint. Yeah.
Yes, that's it. That's it. So if y'all listening, you haven't been, Gulfport, Mississippi, the Almanac, it is the spot. And the food is awesome.
Isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Because they had a hotel in the back of it too, didn't it?
I didn't go back there. I just stayed in the front. I wouldn't be surprised.
I want to say they had a hotel.
You know what? It is. Because I had to use Google Maps to get there.
Yeah.
But it is. It is. It definitely is.
It's real nice.
It is beautiful. So if you're over there in Mississippi, go out and holler at them. They're right off the beach.
Yeah. Sexy.
Yeah, definitely. So a little bit more into your personal life. With doing this as your craft, of course you want to do it, you know, not all the time, but for a good percentage. So have you found that balance between work and your personal life in terms of poetry? Kind
of. The thing about my work, everything bleeds into each other.
Mm.
So my personal is fueled by my art, and my art is fueled by my personal, which is a wonderful thing because it makes beautiful art.
Mm-hmm.
So like some of the best poems I've done was when I was going through my darkest, deepest times, and I was able to use that. The trick is finding a happy medium, being able to turn it off, you know, when you need to, because you'll go crazy and you'll go loony, you know, doing it. So what I try to do is I try to chill out as much as possible, get out, get some air, listen to some good music, talk to Catharsis, talk to K. Marie, you know, when I'm feeling stupid, you know, because you have to find that medium, that happy place where everything can coexist with one another.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing pretty good, trying to get with the personal and the professional. But it helps, you know, to have like an anchor, someone there to, you know, talk you off the ledge. So I definitely have that.
All right, that's dope. That's dope. I love that. I love that because I have not found that balance quite yet. I still find myself either forgetting stuff sometimes, or kind of bringing my work to my art. Yeah. And that isn't always the best, right? Especially my line of work with the type of people I deal with. Like that's why I bought that stick whiteboard so I could kind of, if I see it, I do
stay focused. With
right. I can keep things in line. So I think it's all about adapting.
It is. So. It is all about adapting. And then sometimes what I do is I'll neglect one thing for the other. So I will love on my poetry and then I'll neglect something from, you know, a personal thing. My 9 to 5, I won't think about. Everything is going to the art, which is not very good.
I was going to ask. That sounds risky.
Yeah, it sounds risky. Like, I wish I could just do poetry forever and not worry about these bills. But, you know, it's just finding that balance in between them, you know, to make sure everything goes smoothly. Yeah.
Love the answer.
Yeah.
All right. So, with doing this as long as you have, no offense, not calling you old. Just saying, with tenure. With tenure.
Oh, right.
Tenure's the word.
Okay.
Tenure. What experience have you found to be the most memorable?
The most memorable would have to be when we performed for Nikki Giovanni.
What?
Oh my God! It was the highlight of my life.
Can I pause for just a second?
Yes.
Hiram, a young lady named Ebony, and I, and Ashley Waller, we sat down and had a conversation. Have you seen James Baldwin and Nikki Giovanni's debate?
Oh, yes.
We sat and talked about that for the longest.
They both had really good sides to it.
Tell me about it.
I really good. Yeah.
That, if you're listening and you haven't watched that, it's 2 hours, it's 2 parts. But I promise you, everything they talked about is still going on to this day.
It's worth it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But go ahead. Tell me about this experience. I love Nikki Giovanni.
This was years ago. She came down for a lecture at South Alabama. And we had the pleasure. We actually performed in front of her.
Oh my God.
And just to have her, be able to, and she's like really dope. Like she's really down to earth. She's not really, high and hoity-toity and all of that. She came and she was taking pictures with us, loving on us, telling us to keep going. So that was another inspiration of mine. Was she gave us a book? Yes, signed it, all of it. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So
Man.
Just imagine, like you're 21, 22 years old, just starting in poetry. And you're meeting Nikki Giovanni. The Nikki Giovanni. You can't. That's enough for me. That's enough.
It's so many boxes she checked.
Yeah.
Poet, activist, feminist. Like it's
all of that. She's sitting down with James Baldwin and yeah.
Talking about how.
Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Yeah.
Yes. Lie to me.
Lie to me. That's it.
You
lie to the white man. Lie to me. Oh my God.
I'm going to have to be politically incorrect for just a moment.
Yeah,
she said, you sit here and you front for those crackers all day. Do that for me as well.
She had a point.
It didn't hit me until she said that.
Yeah.
She mentioned that her dad used to go and do everything to work and do this and come home, beat her mom, and that didn't make sense. She said, my dad's a cool cat, but I don't want to marry my dad. And that made sense because they say you marry someone who's like your father, who, and you're going to have me go back and watch this.
I'll tell you, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to take up your time with that. Lord have mercy, I could go on. But on the flip side of that, meeting Giovanni, that's huge.
Yes.
That's huge. Many people won't be able to say they did that in their lifetime, much less perform in front of her.
That's a big blessing.
Yes, it is.
Big blessing.
So on the flip side of that, was there at any point you feel that you wouldn't be successful? And if so, who or what changed your mind?
There was a time where I thought I was not going to be successful. Yeah, it was. And I don't like to tell people this because I like to be really, really confident. I'm, you know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you why I insert this question.
Okay.
Not only is it the inverse of the previous question, but whenever you're telling someone to go out on the dream and do what they do and what they love, there's always ups and downs. Yeah. So it'd be unfair to sell them on the good things.
That is true.
And not the bad.
You're making a good point, sir. Yeah, there was a time where I thought I was not going to be successful. And it's not because anyone told me I wasn't going to be successful. I've never had anyone say, you're garbage. I always had really good accolades and claps and cheers, but it was always internal stuff. It was always internal. Okay. Or a few years back, when the marriage separated, because we were so close, a lot of times I wouldn't do poetry by myself. The only time I would do poetry with him, it was with him. Okay, so I was never by myself. I was never front row center, no one there, just me. It wasn't always like that. So when we stopped, when he went his way and I went mine, and we were no longer the Equipment Poets. So it's just me. I still want to do poetry. I still want to do spoken word. I still want to perform, but I don't know if I'm strong enough to do it by myself, because I always had this partner that was right next to me to actually, you know, push me, say, yeah, you can do it. Go ahead. You can do it. Now I have to find that in myself to say, hey, you can actually do this on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So stepping out on faith was like a big thing for me. Stepping out and saying what I needed to say, it was a beautiful thing, but it was an uncomfortable thing. It was a scary thing. So there was times where I just felt like I didn't want to do poetry or spoken word anymore because I was afraid to be by myself. So I had to get to the point where I was saying, you know what? Turn your head off. Turn all the negative thoughts off. What is it that Cara needs to say? And I think that's where the Buttasofli thing came from. Huggy Bear also gave me that name. So I wonder why he said butterfly and Buttasofli, and then I had to think about it because he said, "Girl, you just busting out. You just coming on out. You Buttasofli," and it just stuck. So I had to sit down and I had to think about, what is a butterfly? You know, what is the process a butterfly has to go through to get to a point where she is actually a butterfly. Mm-hmm. So you have this little caterpillar or this worm, this little crazy looking thing that is not very nice to look at. Nobody really wants to pay attention to it. Nobody wants to touch it. And then it has to envelop itself in this shell to protect itself. So I was protecting myself this whole time with this shell, and then it got to the point where, because I had to find myself after the split, I was trying to figure out who I am, and then it became uncomfortable to be in this cocoon. Because at this point now, I'm here, but I'm growing here, so I can't stay where I am. So of course, with the growth and being uncomfortable, you have to break out this shell. And I just thought it was almost like a naming ceremony when he gave it to me. I was on stage. He had called me up. It was an open mic night. He called me on stage, and I did a poem that was really, really open and bare, and told my whole story in tears and the ugly cry, and it was just, and he was just saying how much I've grown through this journey that I'm on. And I talked to people and they said, we really didn't know you before this happened. You know, yeah, Cara's real cool. You know, she's sweet, you know. But they really didn't know who I was until I was by myself and I was able to speak for myself. And I'm not saying that he's speaking for me, but I allowed him to take the lead, you know, because that was my partner, that was my husband. He's the king. You go forth and you know, venture off. But now I'm coming into my own. It was a beautiful thing. So, yeah. So what was the question again? I went.
Well, were there any points that you feel that you wouldn't be successful?
Yes. Short answer, yes.
I take that and I accept that. Because it's a lot of times when someone be like, yeah, you know, you can do it. You're going to do all these great things. All you got to do is try. But they don't tell you.
It's so much.
Right.
It's so much. They make it sound like, okay, you're at point A and here's point B. You made it. No, right. You have to go through these hills and valleys, and you got to stop for a second, and then you got to pick yourself back up, and then you have to go around, and you got to ask for help. It's just so many ways that this could actually go. Right. And I think that's a disservice that we do. And I see why you ask these questions now. Because a lot of people think that this is easy. You know what I mean? Getting up on stage, you know, playing around, speaking your mind. Oh, it's easy. No, it's not. It takes so much. The craft, the writing, and then being in front of someone and you have to grab their attention in less than 30 seconds. Because you can lose somebody, you know, really, really quickly. But it's so much more that goes into it. You know, it's so much preparation that you have to do, because there's so much power in your words. You can't just, and I'm realizing that you can't just say anything. You know, roses are red, violets are blue. Here's my poem. Snap, snap, snap. You can't do that because there's so much power in what you're saying, and you could save somebody's life in a matter of minutes, or you could kill it. You know, depending on what you're saying. There's life in your voice. So one thing that I've always said before I went on stage or while I was on stage is speak life. Anything that you say, you have to speak existence to it. So whether it's good or bad, but that's your responsibility. Like I feel like I have a responsibility to anyone who listens to me, anyone who comes into contact with me, is to be truthful and honest and give them everything that I have. So that's what I do. Anytime that I'm getting on stage or I'm reciting a piece, you're gonna get everything that I have, 110%. So you gotta tell the people the truth.
It is.
Yeah.
100%. Love it. Love it. All right. So my next question.
Okay.
This is the long-term question.
All right.
So if I need to make some quick edits, if you gotta take a moment, I get it, because
Okay.
I couldn't answer this question right now, even if you asked me. So, all right. So where would you like to see yourself in 1 year, 3 years, and then in 10 years?
Woo! 1 year, 3 years, 10 years. 1 year. Okay, 1 year is easy. 1 year is I would like to have my own album. I've played around with the notion of having an album, but I said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I don't know why. I just felt like I didn't need one. But I really want one now.
Mm-hmm.
I think my art is up to a caliber where it's worthy to be recorded and listened to and bought and sold and streamed. I think it's to that caliber at this point. So that's the 1 year, is to have an album, to tool with it a little bit, you know, get out of Mobile. That's 1 year. 3 years. 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 3 years. I think I would like to do acting.
Really?
I think I would. I think I would like to incorporate my spoken word and my poetry into actually, not necessarily like films or movies, but I would like to be, you know, on the big screen or whatever. But doing more plays,
Okay.
monologues. I would like to, you know, work towards that. I think that would be cute with me. I think that would be good. I want to get to a point where I'm not just a spoken word artist.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's time for me to actually move a little deeper in what that is. Because there's so many other parts of me, you know, that people haven't seen or I haven't even tapped into. So I would like to play around with actually doing some acting a little bit. 10 years. If you talk to any poet, they say that their art is therapy. Okay? And I'm not saying that, you know, you shouldn't have a therapist, because I probably need one now. But I want to be able to use my words as therapy for someone. Maybe doing workshops where you have victims of, and not necessarily has to be anything, you know, really, you know, life-threatening or anything. Just anyone who's had an issue where they felt like they couldn't make it. I would like to be able to speak with them and have them be able to do poetry and work through that situation. So, okay, this is where you are. This is the hurt that you felt. This is the anger that you felt. Okay, now put it in words. You know, go ahead and put that in words. And how did that make you feel? Describe that. Can you use a metaphor of where you were?
I see what you're doing.
You know what I mean? So I love to do something with was therapy when it comes to my art. A couple of weeks back, I started these little videos on Facebook where I would, just talk. Now I'm not an expert, I'm not a yonla or anything like that, but when it comes to a situation that I'm going through or I've went through, I speak about those things so people know that they're not the only ones who've gone through those things.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I want my words to be something where it's actually legit therapeutic. That's what I'm looking for. So with the progression, I want the entertainment the first few years, but then I also want to, move up a little higher where I'm actually healing someone.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
No, I love taking your passion and trying to change the world a little bit more. That's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. I love that idea, like a kind of workshop where you taking that pain and turning it into healing. Mm-hmm. Whether they get it or not, they're manifested it in another way. And then that becomes their testimony. Exactly. That becomes their tool. So that's wonderful, because a lot of times people have all this negative energy and don't know how to, I guess, expel it.
Yeah.
To get that release that they need. And
you'll feel so much better.
Yes, you do.
You'll feel so much better and so much lighter. Just getting everything out. You have a lot of sickness and a lot of headaches and crying and all of that stuff. And once you're able to be truthful with yourself and just speak your truth, it feels so much better.
Not only that, your perspective on life shifts when you do that.
Yeah.
Stuff that used to rile you up really don't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. People, your judgment, and people will change your judgment. And is this battle worth fighting?
Right.
Is getting this last word really worth it here?
Exactly.
I've been in this situation before. So that maturity comes along with that.
Definitely.
All right. So this is my favorite question.
Okay.
I call this the leap of faith question. The reason I got that from Steve Harvey.
Okay.
Recently gave the analogy of you're never going to be truly happy until you take that leap of faith in those what if situations.
Right.
So to anyone who wanted to, whether it be start doing poetry or try to do any venture that they may be inspired to do, something they're truly passionate about, what words of encouragement would you give to them to get started, to take that first step? Because that first step is the scariest.
Yeah.
100%.
Be afraid. Be fearful. Feel that. Be fearful. The thing about fear is you can use it to your advantage. Okay? With fear, you have anxiety, you have adrenaline, you have passion, you have all that emotion. Be afraid, but use it. So, and let me see if I can explain it a little better. Every time I'm on stage, I'm afraid.
Really? Every
time I get on stage, there's a nervousness in the pit of my stomach that I'm going to forget my words. Or I'm going to trip over a mic cord. I always have that fear. And the thing about it is, I care about what I'm saying and what I'm doing. When you get to a point where you're not nervous or you're not scared, then stop. Then stop. Now, once you feel this fear, the thing about it is you can't stay there. You can't stay there. Feel that feeling. Let it pass. Then do what you need to do. I would say sit down first. Make an outline of what you're trying to accomplish. What is your mission statement? Why do you want to be a movie director? Why do you want to be a spoken word artist? Why do you want to be a salesman? Why do you want to do these things? And work towards that. If you already have a goal set and you can see it and it's visualized, it'll be a lot easier for you to do what you need to do. And then take that leap of faith. Once you have that feeling of fear, once you make your mission statement, once you make your list, then do it. What's the first thing that you need to do in order to get what you need? And do that thing. I'm an avid believer in being honest with yourself. You know what I mean? Be honest with yourself. sit down and say, okay, am I just doing this for the likes? Am I doing this for the money? Or am I doing this for healing? Am I doing this to, bring someone closer to a realization that they're wonderful? What is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing? So as long as you have an idea or a feeling or a mission, you'll be able to get where you need to go. Be realistic. It's not going to come overnight. You may have times when you want to give up. That's when you realize that this is what you really want. If you give up, this ain't what you want.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you'll find out what's real when it gets rough. So I'll just say stick with it.
All right. Yeah. I love that response. I received that myself,
All right,
honestly.
All right. Such an agree.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I got that shout. Now, Ms. Cara, if anyone wants to get in contact with you, whether it be about poetry, whether it be about your videos that you do,
Right.
How could someone get in contact with you?
Right now the best way is Facebook.
Okay.
I go by Cara, Cara May, MAY, McKinney, McKinney. I also have Instagram where I have my videos. It's Cara May 2272. Also on our website, powerlinespoetry.com. You'll be able to see all of my information and everything there.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking time out your day to come
Thank you
all
so
the way
much
over
for
here.
having me.
No
Yeah.
problem. No, the pleasure's all mine.
Yeah.
Took a year to get to you, but found you.
It was a reason. It was a reason.
Right. So, if you've been tuning in, this has been Sirr. This has been Buttasofli. Y'all have a great one.
All right.
That's it.
The good, the bad, the messy, I'm gonna tell you anyway. So
Transparency.
it
Nothing wrong with
is.
it.
It is. And to be honest, I hold in a lot of that. Like I want to be really politically correct when I talk about
Really?
it. Yes, when it comes to that, when it comes to like the marriage and how it went, yeah.
Can I ask why?
Well, the thing about it was, I knew him for years. Like we were high school sweethearts.
Mm-hmm.
And so before we were like lovers, we were like really best friends. So when everything went down where he's living a whole different life from me, I still felt like I needed to protect him. So I never wanted him to be seen in this light where, he did Cara wrong and he did this and he did that. I felt like I was still the wife. So with all the mess and the issues, I was willing to, hide that, when it came to that. That's why I was really big in my poetry, because a lot of my poetry at that time was about that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the only time that I was really honest was with my girlfriends or if I was on stage. So that was the only time that I was going to be transparent and let you know anything that was going on, is if I was in the mindset of this is a performance.
I can respect that.
You know what I mean? And I could turn it off when I needed to. So I never really sat down and talked about it and discussed it. So it feels good to now, since everything is super over.
Right.
I'm willing to say, hey, this is what it was. It didn't work out. This is why I did. This is why it happened that way. So I don't feel like I have to protect anyone at this point, because right now I'm just looking for my growth and my healing.
I heard that.
Because sometimes when you're holding on to so many things for somebody else, I have so many other bags I have to, to put on. So I have to deal with my bull, and now I have to deal with yours too. Yeah, I'm done with that. So
all right.
I'm good with that.
All right.
It's like a therapy session.
No, and that's why I love doing it.